Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so if you are a focused learner trying to really wrap your head around modern digital infrastructure, you are in exactly the right place. In today's explainer, our goal is to completely demystify the cloud. We hear that buzzword literally all the time, but today we're going to break it down. We're moving from its heavy physical reality all the way up to the ultimate abstraction, the serverless revolution. It's a fascinating journey, and honestly, by the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of how the whole shebang connects.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, unmasking the physical cloud. Then, the three service models. Third, public, private, or hybrid. Fourth, the benefits in action. And finally, the serverless revolution. Section 1. Unmasking the physical cloud. Hardware of the cloud.
So to truly understand the cloud, we first need to establish that it isn't, actually floating up in the sky. And looking at the official National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, publication brilliantly illustrates that point. This is pretty much the gold standard, setting a baseline of authority right out of the gate. NIST literally helped write the book on how we categorize these massive shared resources.
Because when we strip away the magic, the physical reality of the cloud requires some seriously massive physical infrastructure to run. We're talking about colossal data centers housed in highly secure buildings with huge electrical grids. Then there's the networking equipment, miles and miles of fiber optic cables and heavy-duty routers. And finally, the servers themselves. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're tangible physical processors like Intel Xeon or AWS Graviton, just humming away in giant server racks.
So keeping all that heavy machinery in mind, here is our working definition. Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computing services. Things like servers, storage, databases, networking, and software all over the internet. The real beauty here is that powerful software abstracts that underlying physical hardware we just talked about. That completely spares businesses from the massive headache of buying, setting up, and managing their own physical boxes. You simply use what you need and pay only for what you actually use. Section 2. The three service models, layers of abstraction. Right, now that we know the physical hardware, let's move to and see how this builds. We're going to ascend the ladder of cloud services to see how these resources are actually packaged. Down at the foundation, we have infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. One step up is platform as a service, PaaS, and sitting at the very top, we have software as a service, or SaaS. Basically, every step up this ladder removes another layer of technical management from your plate.
Let's compare the two extremes here. Control versus convenience. IaaS gives you a super high level of control over raw IT resources. Your computing, storage, networking. You're basically renting the virtual hardware. Actually, scratch that. It's more like leasing a fully powered digital foundation, but you're still doing the heavy lifting to configure it. On the flip side, SaaS offers ultimate convenience. These are fully managed, ready-to-use end-user applications. Think Google Drive or Salesforce. You don't maintain a single piece of infrastructure. Now, here's a fascinating little fact. Organizations using SaaS or PaaS are often actually running their applications on top of someone else's underlying IaaS infrastructure. It's kind of like a giant puzzle.
Section 3. Public, private, or hybrid. Deployment models. So the crucial point is figuring out where these models actually live. Let's look at a side-by-side showdown of cost, security, and scalability across the three main deployment environments. First up, public clouds, like Azure or Google Cloud. They're multi-tenant, which just means you share infrastructure. Cost is pay as you go, security is robust but shared, and scalability is incredibly rapid and global. Second, we have private clouds. These are single-tenant, meaning they're dedicated exclusively to you. The upfront cost is higher, sure, but you get maximum control, total isolation, and predictable performance. Finally, hybrid clouds. These give you the best of both worlds. They balance and optimize costs, let you keep your most sensitive data totally private, and, this is cool, allow for cloud bursting, which is basically tapping into the public cloud when demand suddenly spikes.
Now, as a strategic choice, keep this surprising number in mind, 80%. While public clouds are a fantastic starting point, they aren't always the cheapest option as you grow. Actually, once a company's workload hits between $20,000 and $50,000 a month, adopting alternative hosted private clouds can literally reduce public infrastructure costs by up to 80%. It just proves that optimizing your cloud deployment is an absolutely massive financial strategy.
Section 4. The benefits in action, real-world advantages. Okay, let's focus on the tangible business advantages these different configurations provide in the real world. The core benefits are absolutely game-changing. The cloud offers automatic updates and maintenance, which totally relieves your IT staff of tedious manual patching. It provides global reach and scalability, allowing businesses to rapidly adjust compute capacity during fluctuating market conditions. Think of a retailer ramping up for the holiday season. It's a lifesaver. It ensures robust disaster recovery by storing redundant copies across multiple regions. It's wildly cost-effective thanks to its pay-for-value model. And it unlocks the sheer computing horsepower needed to run complex big data analytics. To put that into perspective, let's look at a specific anecdote. 100 days. That is exactly how long it took Coca-Cola to develop a brand new mobile pouring app for touchless drink dispensers during the pandemic. Just 100 days. They achieved this rapid innovation not by racking their own servers, but by utilizing advanced serverless building blocks in the cloud. It perfectly demonstrates the kind of agility the cloud offers when you need to pivot fast. Which brings us to a rather strategic question. We've talked about hardware, right? And we've talked about renting virtual servers. But what if you didn't have to think about servers at all? Like none whatsoever. Section 5. The serverless revolution. Invisible infrastructure. This right here is the cutting-edge evolution of the cloud. It's where infrastructure becomes completely invisible to the developer. Serverless computing is an application model where the cloud provider completely takes over the routine work. They dynamically provision, scale, and manage the underlying infrastructure. It scales automatically from zero up to peak demand based purely on specific events, like a user clicking a button. Now, a quick reality check here. Physical servers definitely still exist, for sure, but they are entirely abstracted away. Your developers get to focus purely on application design and writing code, paying precisely for the computing resources used only when that code actually runs. Now, what's really interesting is how we categorize this invisible, serverless architecture into two main types. First up is function as a service, or FaaS. This is where your developers write custom backend functions and deploy them directly to the cloud. The provider spins up the resources dynamically only when the function is triggered. Second is backend to the service, or BaaS. This allows developers to plug into pre-built backend functionality, things like authentication or databases, via APIs. Basically meaning you get massive capabilities without having to write the code from scratch. So look at how far we've come. We've gone from heavy, freezing cold rooms filled with physical hardware to a reality where the infrastructure is entirely invisible, scaling infinitely on demand. It is a stunning technological achievement. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. As the cloud becomes entirely invisible and serverless, how will your own organization or even your daily life evolve to harness this limitless potential? Something to chew on. Thanks for learning with me today on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.